Hi, I'm McKenna Blanchine, and this is my speech on doom scrolling effects. So, raise your hand if you've ever opened your phone for a minute and end up scrolling for hours instead. And now, how many of you do this every day? So, have any of you opened either TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, or social media in any way in the morning just to watch a couple of videos for a couple of minutes and end up scrolling for a lot more than you expected to? Well, it's a safe place here because I am guilty of doing that as well. And that kind of brings me to today's topic, and I will be talking about doom scrolling, what it is, and how it affects your mental health plus brain, how it affects your daily basis living, and how reducing screen time can make you feel more refreshed and productive. So, what is doom scrolling? Doom scrolling is the endless scrolling through addictive and brain-rotting content, whether it's through social media, the news, your streaming sites, whatever it may be. Things like this actually end up releasing an excessive amount of dopamine throughout a lot of people. Every new video that you watch, a little bit of dopamine is ending up being released in the process. In the moment, doom scrolling may seem like it's a time to relax and avoid all of the things that you need to be doing, but it is actually increasing your depression, your anxiety, your stress, and your brain fog. So now that we know what doom scrolling is and how it can affect your brain, I want to dive deeper on how it can affect you on a daily basis. So one of the most affected parts throughout most people is our attention span. So the constant scrolling and switching back and forth from one thing to another, it causes our brain to automatically rewire to the fast-moving entertainment, basically. So it makes our brain harder to focus on smaller things such as school, homework, or things basically just as basic as normal conversations on a day-to-day basis. And then the next thing that is affected is sleep. So the constant loop of swiping your finger to get more and more videos, plus that light from your phone, makes it super hard for you to sleep at night because it's just constant stimulation. And lastly, it really affects people's productivity. So you lose track of time when you're constantly scrolling. Basically, that ends up wasting more time on our phone than wasting more time on the things that we need to do in the moment. That's more of a need. So basically, now that we know and understand how doom scrolling can negatively affect our mental health, our brain, I want to talk about some ways that we can reduce our screen time. So, ways that we can reduce doom scrolling is creating a screen time for yourself. You can do that really easily by setting that up through your settings. You can do that for certain apps or your phone itself. That basically tracks and limits your time to, like I said, specific apps or your phone. It helps you become way more aware of the amount of time that you're spending on your phone. Personally, seeing the statistics and the charts when I was using my phone so much really helped me realize that I need to do better things than being on my phone all day. Next, you can replace doom scrolling with healthier activities. So, for example, instead of scrolling on your phone, you can go to the gym, go on a walk, make plans with a friend. You can create something. There's just so much more better options out there. It gives your brain somewhat of a little break of that brain rot content, basically. Lastly, creating certain boundaries with certain apps. If it means that you have to delete TikTok for the day because you find yourself being stuck on the app, then that's the sacrifice that you have to make. You have to create that boundary for yourself. This allows your brain to realize that you don't need that constant stimulation that you crave daily, whether you realize it or not. In the end, doom scrolling is something that we all do, whether we want to admit it or not. We talked about what doom scrolling is and how it impacts your life, your brain, including dopamine and increasing depression, stress, brain fog, and anxiety. We also went over how it affects your daily life, including your attention span, your sleep, and your productivity. We lastly talked about ways to reduce doom scrolling, like setting up screen time, replacing it with healthier options, and making boundaries for yourself. So the next time that you find yourself constantly scrolling, just remember that there are a lot of different choices that you can make that will be a huge difference on how you feel and basically allow you to have more control over your time than the internet and the content that you see on a daily basis. So, thank you.